Hello everyone, this week we're in Parashat Matot. Parashat Matot is the first parasha of the three parashot that are called the 3 weeks, Bein HaMetzarim, the 3 weeks of negativity, of narrowness. These are always the 3 weeks in the middle of the summer, between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av. 17th of Tammuz, the month of Cancer, and the 9th of Av, the month of Leo. These 3 weeks in the Hebrew Kabbalistic calendar are considered to be the most negative weeks of the year, which means that the most dangerous. In these 3 weeks we have to really keep a low profile. We don't go into big scale, large scale decision making, business deals and stuff like this. No weddings, no moving to a new house, no buying. Anything that is big, just keep a low profile. Why? These 3 weeks are loaded with awesome amount of powers and energies, and since this is a very high voltage, we have to be really careful. A lot of disasters happen during these 3 weeks. We are not going to talk too much about it because it's a topic for another discussion. However, Parashat Matot is always the first one of the 3 weeks, and let's see what in Parashat Matot is there to help us to deal with this time of the year that is so dangerous. However, we know that dangerous does not mean bad. There's no time in the year that is evil. Evil is only a cover. It's called klipa. Klipa means a shell. A shell means something that covers. Covers what? The light. So when there is a lot of power of light, only then you can see a big shell covering it, because the shell has it doesn't have a substance of itself. It is a cover for a positive substance. However, because the power of the light during these 3 weeks is so strong, the cover is so big and so powerful. In Parashat Matot, we have the cure for all the maladies that can plague us during these 3 weeks. Now, how can we find it in the parasha itself? To do it in short, Parashat Matot is starting in a way that is kind of as usual. When the Torah wants to hint us that there is something deeper in the text, it gives us something that doesn't make sense. And it says as follows: Vaydaber Moshe l'Rashei Matot, and Moses spoke to the heads of the staffs. What does it mean, the head of the staff? Matot means staffs, like we have a chief of staff. And staff has 2 meanings. A staff is that piece of wood that the leader is holding, okay, that he can lean on, or the staff, Moses' staff, had the power to split the Red Sea and do some other magical stuffs. Okay, this is the staff. Now, the chief of staff, what does it mean, chief of staff? Is somebody who has the control over the army. The chiefs of staffs of the tribes of Israel, there were 12 of them. What does it mean? These are the people that have the power to control. Now, what is that Moses is saying to the chiefs of staffs? Something that it looks like there's no connection. He tells them that when a person is making a vow, the vow has the power to determine, he has to follow the vow, and so on and so forth. It's all about the power of vows. And then the next thing is that if a woman is making a vow in her father's house when she's not married, and her father knows about it, he can annul the vow. When she's married and her husband hears that she's making a vow, then her husband can annul the vow. Now, that doesn't sound so politically correct. Which means, if a woman makes a vow, she's behind it because she wanted to do it, and why is the husband or the father, why do they have the ability and the power to annul the vow? Shouldn't they ask her? Maybe she made the vow because she meant it. Okay? However, we know the story is only a cover for something much deeper inside. So, what is a vow? In the previous parasha, Parashat Pinchas, we learn that there is a special prayer. This is the prayer of Kol Nidrei, annulling all the vows. That this is the prayer in the beginning of Yom Kippur. And in this prayer, which is one of the most famous prayers of the year, it has the power to annul the vows. And the Zohar over there explains that it's a big secret. The annulment of the vows in Yom Kippur, it's not the vows that we make. It's the vow that is much deeper. The vow that we made in the beginning of our beginnings. What was the vow? That we are not going to take anything for free. Which means, whatever we do, we have to be accounted for it. If we hurt somebody, that has to come back to us. If we do something good, it has to come back to us. This is a vow. It's a cosmic vow, the Zohar is explaining. Now, during these 3 weeks, it is a time that if there are any negativities that are supposed to plague us, God forbid, during the year, they can hit us. The highest probabilities are that they are going to hit us during these 3 weeks. Because they are loaded with power and energy, that's why we have to be so careful. However, there's a way to annul these vows. There's a way to annul these negativities. These vows are judgments that we created them. How can we annul them? So here comes Rabbi Azakluria and explains to us. When we say that a father can annul the vow of his daughter, we're talking about Sfirat Chokhmah and Sfirat Binah. We're talking about different Sfirot. A husband with his wife, this is Zeir Anpin and Malchut. Which means we have here, inside the person's personality, 2 aspects. The male and the female. The male is the giving part of our personality. The female is the receiving part of our personality. Which means any judgment that can plague us, any judgment can destroy our life, is a judgment that is coming from a place of selfishness, desire to receive for the self alone. That is the cause of all disasters. That is the cause of all hatred and fight and disunity, so on and so forth. How do we destroy that judgment? The destruction of the judgment is not by subduing it and covering it up like most people do, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to think about it. The judgment is still there. The way to destroy the judgment, as Zohar is saying, is when the male is overpowering the female. What does it mean? When the male, the Zohar is saying, is bringing the energy of mercy, love, loving kindness, the energy of the white color, the color of sharing and giving, and imposing it on the red color, which is judgment, which is selfishness, self-centeredness, egotism. When that is happening and we do it in our consciousness, in our behavior, we inject that consciousness in anything we do, this is when we take the staff and we change by control, we change our destiny. The word in Hebrew for staff, mateh, means also to redirect, lehatot, which means in Parashat Matot we receive the power to redirect the judgment and transform it into love, kindness, and mercy. It's starting in Pinchas, and now we continue the job that we have to do in the month of Cancer to transform the judgment into mercy. Now, this is coming just in the middle of nowhere because the story from past week, Pinchas, was we started to talk about fighting the Midianites. Here, after talking about the judgments of the vows, now we move into the story of fighting the Midianites. The Midianites were the nation that sent their daughters to the camp of Israel in order to create the plague, and they were successful partially. And now it looks like a revenge. It doesn't fit a spiritual story. What is this revenge? To go and kill all the Midianites? However, if we understand that the word Midian is medin, which means from judgment, now here after we understood the story of the vows, now it becomes clear about in this story. What does it mean? In this parasha, we have the power to overpower the judgment with loving kindness and mercy, love, and that's the job of this parasha. Of course, there's many more things, but that we can listen to in the extended lesson. Thank you so much, and have a great week.